Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, my name is Gwen and I have been starting a booktube channel, and today I wanted to start with saying thank you to everyone who has followed, commented, subscribed, found me on my other social media platforms and followed. It's been great, it's been fantastic. It's been lovely to meet all of you, and it's been really exciting to just correspond with people every day talking about books or just saying welcome. It's super appreciated, so thank you so much. And if you didn't know, because I didn't say it in the end of my video the first time, I do have everything linked below to my other social media platforms and Goodreads, so you can follow me on all of those if you'd like to. And now let's go into the video, which today I wanted to talk about the books I've already read this year. And I just realized that was a sneak peek. Well, just so you are all aware, I usually read 2 to 3 books a month. So that's just something of note moving forward. Let us start with the first series that I tried to read this year. And it is The Demon Cycle by Peter V. Brett. The first one in that series is The Warded Man. Overall, with the first book, I enjoyed it. It had 3 POVs, 2 of them being male and 1 of them being female. The fantasy world was kind of your just average fantasy world. There was something like too different, I would say. I gave it 3 stars, and I was very hopeful for the next book. This is a fantasy world in which humans live comfortably until it turns to night, and in the nighttime demons come out, and there is no way currently to battle these demons. There are only wards to protect people from them, and you follow those 3 characters throughout that world. And then when I picked up the second book, which was Desert Spear, all of the intrigue just fell away. I stopped caring about the characters. We get introduced to a new character, we get introduced to another culture that lives in the desert that actually fights demons. Not that it's always successful, but they do so. And it felt so undeveloped. We were getting a lot of lore in this book, a lot of background stuff that you would normally get in a first book, and you would hope that the second book would like bring more information about demons or bring more information about the dynamics the characters are going through in order to succeed in killing these demons. It didn't do it for me. This was like pulling teeth trying to finish this book. So I basically have DNF'd the series, gave that second book 2 stars. Again, his writing is not horrible by any means. Where the story was going didn't do anything for me. But moving on to a very exciting one, which was in the start of this video that you might have seen. The next series that I picked up was N.K. Jemisin's The Broken Earth trilogy, and my god, this was everything. You're following in this book 3 POVs. First one is a young girl who's just realized that she has some magic powers. We have another POV of someone in an academy. I can't remember the name of it. She's just gone up another level in her studies and is now able, with supervision from a superior, to go out into the world. And then the third POV is a mother who just lost a child and is also looking for her second child. This one is way more focused on family and grief. It's a wonderful dystopian world. Most of the series, you're on one main continent the entire time. There's pretty much only humans. There's only one other race besides humans that is mentioned. This book and trilogy is immensely powerful and makes you think so much about how you as a person would deal with the aftermath of the world ending. It's a series that I'll never forget how it made me feel, and will always be on my bookshelf, and I will always recommend this book. So I gave the first one 5 stars. I gave the second, which is The Obelisk Gate and The Stone Sky, both 4 stars. I'm thinking of giving the third one 5 stars now, just because I had so many feelings after ending the series, and I'm just like, if a book series or a book in general make you feel that much, I feel like that's a 5 stars instead of a 4. Though I think the reason why I gave it 4 stars in the end was because I pretty much knew by the start of the second book how the series was going to end. It still didn't stop me feeling things. I highly recommend these 3. If you haven't read them, please do. They're amazing. And so those are my 2 books that were on my TBR the longest. I was like, okay, let's go for something that I'm a little bit more excited about, because I kind of want to keep on being in this momentum of really enjoying books. So the last time I was physically in a bookstore, I was searching the stacks and I found the spine of this book, and I was like, that's really cool because it's got a skull on it, and it said that it was about necromancy, and I was like, yes, I'm getting that. And then I paused because I was a little bit nervous with what it was, and it was actually labeled in sci-fi. I was a little bit apprehensive because I don't read sci-fi. I was just standing there in the bookstore being like, do I get Gideon the Ninth? Is it worth it? And let me tell you, it's worth it. And the reason why is because I gave this overall 5 stars. This is sci-fi. It does take part in space. There are spaceships. We are on different planets. But honestly, most of this reads like a fantasy, which is very interesting to me. And I think why I enjoy it still, because there's still magic in here, and it's very much the core driving force of the plot. This is what the back of it says. The Emperor needs necromancers. The 9th necromancer needs a swordsman. Gideon has a sword, some dirty magazines, and no more time for undead nonsense. I mean, I'm just saying. There are 9 houses in this necromantic world. The Emperor has requested that an individual from the primary line in each, basically like the royal line in each necromantic house, needs to come to his house with their cavalier. With Gideon being in the 9th, it's the very last house, and there is only one person who is able to go there, which is the daughter of the House of the 9th, who is named Harrow. Gideon hates Harrow. Harrow hates Gideon, but they have to go together because they're the only 2 that were able to go from the 9th. And it is so much fun. It's well paced. That's the first thing I will say why it feels so enjoyable, is because there's no area in this book where it felt too long. There's actually a lot of storyline dealing with really great friendships that come out of here. The romance is not the core story. It is highlighted in there. It is honestly kind of adorable in a way, but it is not the main storyline. I forgot to mention, this turns into a mystery. If you do enjoy some mystery in your reading, and some space, and some skeletons, I highly recommend Gideon the Ninth. Then after Gideon the Ninth, I started thinking about, okay, that was a recent find. It was enjoyable. Let's go to somewhere in my TBR that I haven't read yet. And that was the Powder Mage trilogy. I only have the first book, and I kind of was just like, let's just try it out. This is Promise of Blood, book 1 of the Powder Mage trilogy from Brian McClellan. You gotta know a lot of L's in that last name. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. And here are the pros. The cons will be at the end. What is fun about this book? A lot of it. This is a very plot-driven book. We have 4 POVs. 3 of them are male, 1 of them is female. And one of those male POVs is, and he, when you meet him, he has just killed the monarch and everyone important around him, and the following morning they kill a bunch of nobles as well. He is basically the top commander in the army for this continent, right? No, country. He has killed the monarch and anyone who would have lineage to it because he didn't want them to sign a treaty. The other 2 male POVs are, one is an investigator, the other one is son. For the most part, it's another simple fantasy world where the majority is human and there's magic. The second positive of this book, besides it's well written, is the fact of how fast it goes. So basically, once you start picking up this book, you like can't put it down because every chapter something new and dramatic happens. And the reason why it's paced that way and feels that way is because pretty much every chapter jumps at least 2 weeks or like 3 months sometimes. I think that was a really good thing to do, and I very much enjoyed that. Why it's called the Powder Mage trilogy is because some of these individuals, they use magic through snorting, and I'm not kidding you, snorting black powder. It's just cocaine, but just for guns. It's oh my god. It's a time. So that's like one version of magic in this book. This is my warning and why I gave it 4 stars. Let's talk about the female characters. Okay, first of all, the female POV that we get, why is she even there, is my first thought, because she barely, I think, had 15 pages worth in this entirety of this book, while the rest of them had hundreds. But the main issue is that any major female, like, it's brought into this sphere, is 3 things. They are either a sexual object, too strong of a female character, basically just used as a weapon, or dumb. And they can be all 3. You know, at this point, I would think we would have female characters that were way more well-rounded than this. By the end of the book, I thought about, would I root for any of these female characters the way they have been perceived by these other characters? None of them were really I was attached to. I am hoping that the second book puts them on a better pedestal and makes them more well-rounded than what they appear to be. I just didn't like how any of the female characters were described or how they were used. I'm not saying those female characters aren't powerful. What I am saying is they aren't as fully formed as their male counterparts, and that bugs me a lot. I think that can really deter people from picking up this book and this series, which more power to you. I don't like being stuck in the middle of series, so I do want to finish this just to see what happens. Again, there's a lot of cool things that happen in here that I'm intrigued, so I'm hoping the second book does that, and that we will get more rounded female characters in the books to come, especially the ones we already know. That would be great. So those are the 7 books that on Goodreads it has shown that I have read this year. However, I have been doing a reread that I have not been counting towards my Goodreads, how many books I read in the year, that thing. As of right now in the adult fantasy community on BookTube, there are quite a number of people who are reading the Malazan Book of the Fallen for the first time, and I'm very excited about it. As you can tell, I have a whole shelf dedicated to this series. It is my favorite series of all time. At the end of 2019, I was like, I should do a reread finally of that series. It's been 4 years since I finished the series, but it's also been like 6 years since I read some of the earliest books. Let's do that. It should be fun. It's sort of fun. The 2 books that I have finished rereading is Gardens of the Moon and Dead House Gates. These are the first Malazan books out of the 10, and I still had a very good time reading them. A lot of people have issues with the first book because it was written to be a script and then they made it into a book, and then the second one shows off more Steven Erikson's writing when it's meant to be a book. And so a lot of people say get through the first one, get to the second one, it gets way better. For me, I still have no issues with reading this book. None. I loved it the second time rereading. I think there were some points in the reread where I was like, okay, I can see where people were like, that's a little bit odd to say, or like this abruptly happened. And I'm just kind of over here like, isn't it amazing though, guys? Like, it's so good. Because it is. The one thing I have realized rereading both of these books, and because it's been 6 years, I have forgotten a lot of the small detailed things that have happened in these books. Obviously don't really need to be known for the main like overarching plot through 10 books, but some of them I like remembered wrongly. So that's been really fun, and it's been really fun to just re-meet the characters the way they are. It's not fully a reread where I remember everything. It's a reread that's like, oh, I forgot that happened, or this happens a lot earlier than I remember. So I'm very much enjoying but these are not being followed on Goodreads, so you won't be seeing them. You might see me change like the stars that I give these books, because right now I'd honestly I wouldn't go above 4 stars for Gardens of the Moon, because I do understand that the writing in there it's just different from the rest of the series, and you can tell Steven Erikson's writing just got way better. But like overall, I would just give this series an entire 5 stars, so like who knows. I think though, if I haven't done it already, I would update the second book to 5 stars. Man, was it good. And I can't talk to you guys about any of it because I think talking about these books and doing a reread should be a separate video. The Malazan Book of the Fallen is just so much information. What I will say is, if you are slightly intrigued by reading this series at all, I will link down below someone who is currently going through at a very nice pace a reread, doing videos for all the books. I think the first book has 3 to 4 videos that block it, so it feels like you're reading along with someone, and it makes it less difficult to read the series, because 10 books is a lot, and the amount of pages usually hits over 800 pages. Whether it's in mass paperback edition or paperback, they are very long books, and I understand if you need some encouragement. I can't remember the channel names, that's why I'm drawing a blank, but I will link it down below. You should follow him if you're thinking of reading or rereading the Malazan Book of the Fallen. So, with that being said, those have been the books that I've read from January to April of this year, and I'm currently reading Memories of Ice, which is the 3rd book in the series, and I'm having a little bit of trouble getting through this. The other book that I would be reading right now, if I read 2 books at the same time, the second book in the Powder Mage trilogy, which is called The Crimson Campaign. And again, this is a really well-paced series, so I'm looking forward to reading something that's fast, because this is not going fast, even though I love it. So just so you guys know, this is what I'm currently reading. I believe we are at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and getting through this very long video of basically the first third of the year, what I've read so far. Let me know what have been your favorite books this first third of the year. Let me know if you're gonna try any of these books out, any of the ones that I did recommend, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, bye. Oh, I'm dumb. So tongue twisters, man. What's the word I'm looking for? God dang it. How do I describe the Malazan Book of the Fallen? I don't know. I just realized with editing that's gonna be annoying.